Hey, and welcome back to the Dice Tower. I'm Camilla, and today I'm going to be taking a look at an expansion for one of my favorite games, Betrayal at House on the Hill. This is going to be the Blood on the Moon expansion, so it's going to bring the supernatural in and some more haunts. Now, before we go too far, yes, I know this game is broken. Also, it's still one of my favorite games. Great experience. Does this expansion fix it? Does it bring anything new to the table here? Let's find out. Alright, so we're just going to jump right into my thoughts here without an overview because there's not much to show you. There's a couple cards, a couple minis, and that's it. Actually, on the back of the box, it lists the components here. You get one character, which you have to play with in every haunt that comes in this game. Speaking of which, you come with one of these scenario cards that offers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 new haunts that you can play through here. So if you are going to play one of these haunts, you have to use this card, and you have to have Sarah as one of the characters who turns into a werewolf. And it does come with the minis for those as well, so if you're playing with her, you start as Sarah. Once the haunt starts, she becomes the werewolf. So it has a mini to represent each one. Along with that, it's going to get 2 new item cards and 2 event cards. These are just shuffled into the regular base deck. They may or may not come up. They do not have to come up. So this game, or these scenarios that it brings, does just use the regular omen cards as the haunt triggers, which makes it really easy to put into your base game. The last thing it's going to come with is 2 room tiles, which again are just going to be shuffled in. They may or may not come up. They are not necessarily these haunts specifics. So that right off the bat brings up one of my negatives of the game, is that none of these components are marked as the expansion. That's great. You can put them right in your base game and not know they're in there, and just have to know that that you have to play Sarah if you're doing these haunts. But also the titles on them are a different size font, so you also know if they are. It's kind of a mix, right? Like, you can't tell they're in there. That's great, but what if you want to pull it out? Well, you have to go by the font size. Well, why doesn't it match the base game? So it's kind of this weird, it's great, it's bad, it's great, it's bad. And I guess I just kind of ultimately fall on pick one, make it match the base game, and or give me something that annotates it is a expansion part. So I didn't really love that. I also didn't love that if you're going to play one of these haunts here specifically from the expansion, you have to play as Sarah. And the only place it tells you that is on the back of the haunt card at the very bottom in like 6-point font. So you might not know that up until you actually reveal the haunt side of this card, and by that point you're like, oh, whoops, this was Howl at the Moon. I forgot that was the expansion because, you know, we've got 10 of these cards at this point and no one's playing as Sarah. That's not going to feel great. So I do wish that this was annotated on the front of the card. This is from the expansion. In order to do these haunts, one of you has to play as Sarah. I feel like that was kind of a miss. So yeah, you have to play as Sarah. Once the haunt begins, she becomes a werewolf, and then at that point, just like the base game, you find out if there's a traitor, who is the traitor, and what the end goal is. There is a book for each of them. You have the Traitor's Tomb, which the traitor would read there, as well as you have the Secrets of Survival, which will go to the rest of the players who are working with or against the traitor at that point. So the game really just brings a lot of what you're already familiar with. It integrates into the base game very well, very smoothly. Ultimately, the game is still broken, though. And so if you're watching this review, you probably already know if you like Betrayal at House on the Hill. If you didn't know and you were hoping this expansion was going to fix it, right here, right now, it does not do that. It is just more of what the game already brings to the table. So for me, I really like this expansion. It's an 8. It's easy to put into the base game. I don't have to learn new rules. I don't have to look up a bunch of stuff that I wouldn't already have had to look up. In fact, the actual rules of the book, of the expansion here, is a quarter of a fold. So it is half of 1 page in the rule book that we get. That's it. And pretty much it just tells you, play as Sarah. When the haunt starts, she becomes a werewolf. Other than that, refer to the base game rule book. That's really nice. So if you know you like this game, this is kind of a no-brainer expansion. Now, it is just as tricky and has just as many questions in the haunts as the base game. So for that, it still takes a pretty big dock for me that all of my plays of this, I'm still looking on BGG for clarifications or just kind of deciding with the people around the table, do we decide or can we all agree that this is the way we're going to play this rather than spending 30 minutes to break our play experience and find the real official way to play it, or maybe not even find it at all. If you're okay with those things, and you know if you are because you've played the base game, this expansion, like I said, is a no-brainer. If that gets under your skin to the point that you don't want to play this game, this expansion will not change that for you. So really, it's up to you. For me personally, it's an 8. It's going right seamlessly into my 3rd edition game. It is only playable with the 3rd edition, so you will need to know that. It's going right into it and it's staying there, and it's one that I will probably just put myself a little sticky note like, remember to play as Sarah if we decide to do this card. But it's not going to fix the game for you. So that's going to be it. That's my thoughts on the Betrayal House on the Hill here, the Werewolf's Journey, Blood on the Moon. What are your thoughts? Do you think, is this one that you look forward to getting to the table? I know Halloween's coming up and it'll be hitting mine for sure. Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for joining me here at the Dice Tower. I'm Camilla. Take care.